When we talk about war, we often talk about power, weapons, and politics. But behind every war, there are people. There are mothers waiting for their sons to come home. There are children who wake up at night because of sirens. There are fathers who look at the sky and wonder if the next sound will change everything. The story of Iran's conflict with Israel and the United States is not a simple story. It did not begin yesterday. It did not begin with one missile or one speech. It began decades ago, with fear, with anger, with broken trust, and with a deep belief on all sides that survival was at stake. To understand this conflict, we must go back in time. In 1979, Iran changed forever. Before that year, Iran was ruled by a king called the Shah. He had strong ties with the United States and friendly relations with Israel. But many people inside Iran were unhappy. They believed the Shah was too close to the West. They believed their culture and religion were being ignored. Then came the revolution. Millions of Iranians filled the streets. The Shah left the country. A new Islamic government came to power under Ayatollah Khamenei. And almost overnight, Iran's relationship with the United States and Israel collapsed. The new leaders of Iran saw America not as a partner, but as an enemy. They saw Israel not as a neighbor, but as an occupation and a threat. The United States became known in Iran as the Great Satan. Israel became known as a dangerous state that must be resisted. From that moment, the foundation of tension was built. For Israel, survival has always been the center of its national thinking. Israel is a small country surrounded by larger nations. Since its creation in 1948, it has fought several wars. Many of its leaders believe that if they show weakness even once, it could cost them their existence. So when Iran's new government began openly calling for resistance against Israel, Israeli leaders took those words seriously. And when Iran began supporting armed groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and later Hamas in Gaza, Israel saw this not just as politics, but as preparation for war. For Israel, Iran was not just speaking loudly, it was building power through allies, and that created deep fear. The United States has long been Israel's strongest ally. The bond between the two countries is built on military cooperation, shared interests, and political support. So when Israel sees a threat, America pays attention. But America also had its own direct conflict with Iran. In 1979, during the revolution, Iranian students stormed the US embassy in Tehran. American diplomats were taken hostage for 444 days. That event left a deep scar in American memory. From that moment, trust was broken. Sanctions began. Threats followed. Diplomatic ties disappeared. The relationship turned into a long, cold struggle. Never full war, but never peace. As years passed, one issue became more dangerous than all others: Iran's nuclear program. Iran said its nuclear work was for energy and medical research. The United States and Israel were not convinced. They believed Iran was moving toward building a nuclear weapon. For Israel, a nuclear Iran was not just a political problem. It was an existential threat. Israeli leaders repeatedly said they would never allow Iran to have a nuclear bomb. For America, it was about global security and stopping nuclear weapons from spreading. Negotiations happened. Agreements were signed. Sanctions were lifted and then returned again. Every new president in Washington had a different strategy. Every new leader in Tehran had a different tone. But the suspicion never disappeared. And suspicion, when it grows for decades, becomes something heavier. It becomes distrust that is almost impossible to repair. For many years, the conflict between Iran and Israel was not open war. It was a shadow war. Mysterious explosions at nuclear facilities, cyber attacks that shut down systems, scientists assassinated in quiet streets, airstrikes in Syria targeting Iranian weapons shipments. Neither side officially declared war, but both sides knew they were fighting. This kind of conflict is dangerous because it lives in the dark. It builds anger slowly, and one day, something small can light the fire. The Middle East is already a fragile place. There are old rivalries, religious divisions, political struggles, foreign powers involved everywhere. Iran built alliances across the region, in Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, and Yemen. Israel strengthened its own partnerships with Gulf states and deepened ties with America. Every drone shot down, every rocket fired, every airstrike in Syria, Each event pushed the region closer to something bigger. And then came moments that changed the atmosphere completely. Attacks on oil tankers, missile exchanges, strikes on military leaders. Each side believed it was responding. Each side believed it was defending itself. But from the outside, it looked like two trains moving toward each other on the same track. There are moments in history when tension turns into open confrontation, when strikes move deeper, when retaliation grows stronger, when leaders feel they must respond to show strength. In such moments, decisions are made quickly, sometimes in hours, sometimes in minutes. Military planners prepare for years for scenarios they hope never happen. But once a line is crossed, plans move into action. Air defenses activate, jets take off, missiles are launched, and suddenly the world holds its breath. If Iran is attacked directly, its leaders face enormous pressure. Inside Iran, national pride is powerful. Even people who disagree with their government often unite when foreign forces strike their land. Retaliation becomes almost certain. Missiles aimed at Israeli territory, attacks on US bases in the Gulf, naval tension in the Strait of Hormuz, one of the world's most important oil routes. When that narrow waterway is threatened, global oil prices jump, markets shake. The world feels the shock. War between these nations does not stay local. It touches Europe, Asia, Africa, every country that depends on energy. Israel has one of the most advanced missile defense systems in the world. Sirens are part of daily life in some areas. But no system is perfect. When rockets fall, families rush into shelters, parents cover their children's ears, soldiers move quickly, hospitals prepare. Israel's population is small compared to many nations. Losses feel heavy. Every funeral is national news. Every attack strengthens the belief that survival must come first. For many Israelis, the fear is simple. If we do not stop the threat now, it will grow. For the United States, direct war with Iran is a serious decision. America has military power far beyond most nations. But war with Iran would not be simple. Iran is large. It has mountains, cities, and millions of people. It has allies across the region. American leaders must weigh risks carefully. Support Israel strongly? Yes. Enter full-scale war? That question divides politicians and citizens. American families remember long wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. They remember the cost, in money, in lives, in trauma. No leader wants another endless war, but no leader wants to appear weak either. When bombs fall, politics fades. In Tehran, a shopkeeper closes his store and worries about tomorrow. In Tel Aviv, a young mother holds her baby tighter during a siren. In an American base overseas, a soldier writes a message home just in case. War does not choose sides when it comes to pain. Hospitals fill, electricity fails, schools close. Children learn the sound of explosions before they learn peace. And the saddest truth of all, most people caught in war never asked for it. This is the question many ask. Iran has relationships with powerful countries. Israel has strong Western backing. America is a global superpower. If miscalculations grow, if attacks expand, if alliances activate, the conflict could pull in others. That is why diplomacy never truly stops. Even during heavy fighting, messages pass quietly through back channels. Neutral countries attempt mediation. The United Nations calls for restraint, because everyone understands one thing: a full regional war could become something far worse. Peace sounds simple, just stop fighting. But for these nations, peace requires deep changes. Iran would need security guarantees and economic relief. Israel would need certainty that its existence is not threatened. America would need assurance that nuclear weapons will not spread. Trust is the missing piece. And trust is hard to rebuild after decades of hostility. So where does this go? There are two paths. One path leads to continuous cycles of attack and retaliation, each side responding to the last strike. No real victory, only exhaustion. The other path is slow and frustrating. Talks, compromise, small steps, confidence-building measures. It may not look dramatic, it may not create headlines, but it saves lives. History shows that even the most bitter enemies can eventually talk. It has happened before in other parts of the world. The question is not whether peace is possible. The question is whether leaders and people are willing to choose it. This conflict is not just about land or weapons. It is about fear. It is about history. It is about identity and survival. When nations believe their existence is threatened, they act strongly, sometimes too strongly. But behind governments are ordinary people who want similar things: safety, stability, a future for their children. As we watch events unfold, it is easy to take sides. It is easy to shout online. It is easy to see only one perspective. It is harder, but more important, to understand the full story. Because understanding does not mean agreement, it means awareness. And awareness is the first step toward peace. The Middle East has seen too much war, too many graves, too many broken homes. Perhaps one day the region will be known not for conflict, but for cooperation. Until then, the world watches, hopes, and waits.